Hello, I'm Tyler, this is the Imaginary Axis, and in case you haven't heard, this is Barry Allen, the fastest man alive. Kind of. Technically, a more appropriate name would be potentially the fastest thing alive or not in any conventional three-dimensional reality, but that isn't as marketable, so I understand why DC decided to go with the former. Pick a reality, any reality. As long as it exists in a maximum of 3 dimensions, the Flash can at a minimum tie with any racer from that reality. Why? The Speed Force, a higher dimensional pool of energy that represents reality in motion. Flowing through and around infinite universes, this cosmic force is both responsible for pushing space and time forward, and for granting the Flash his famous super speed. When the source of your speed is not your own 2 legs, but rather the energy that makes up speed itself and transcends time and space, you can basically be as fast as you want. The cosmic vibration shatters. Time ruptures around you. You have now transcended reality, moving to a place where you can just dip back in anywhere or any when you like. From our 3-dimensional perspective, where time is very much linear, the Flash essentially has infinite speed. But that's only from our perspective. Make no mistake, my friends, above our dimension, the Flash is still very clearly taking time to get from point A to point B. So the question is, who is the fastest Flash? Well, it's kind of complicated. Throughout the main DC continuity, there have been 4 major heroes to take up the Flash identity. And yes, before anyone asks, this universe definitely has the most impressive Flash feats so far, so we can more or less disregard the alternate Earths. There's Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Wally West, and Bart Allen. Between these 4, Jay is definitely the slowest. Nothing personal, old man, you're still very impressive, but you were never really pushed quite the same way these 3 were. And between them, Wally West is arguably the best at manipulating the Speed Force. Seriously, you should see some of the stuff this guy can do. Barry Allen taught him pretty much everything he knew before losing control of the Speed Force and disappearing for decades, and Wally developed a ton of his own tricks and techniques before Barry ever returned. He was known to break the time barrier easier than Barry could. He helped pull Barry out of the Speed Force when he couldn't make it out himself. There was even one time when he outraced instant teleportation. But he didn't just do it by tapping into copious amounts of the Speed Force. Oh no. At the time, he was still kind of touchy about the whole Speed Force thing. You know, because his longtime mentor evaporated into nothing and disappeared forever when using it. Instead, Wally just got the whole world to run with him so he could absorb their speed and beat his opponent. Between these 3, Wally West is undoubtedly the fastest Flash in general. And by that I mean he tends to manipulate the Speed Force better than his peers with only occasional exceptions. But what if we looked at the question a different way? What if by who is the fastest Flash, what we really mean is which Flash has gone the fastest? Well, it's not Wally. Because these 2 guys, Barry and Bart, have both absorbed the entire Speed Force into their bodies at one point. Wally might, on average, hit the fastest speeds, but to my knowledge, he has never done anything this extreme. I mean, the totality of universal speed channeled through one person? So, which one's faster? Well, let's start by explaining why they both absorbed so much Speed Force and what they did with it. Bart absorbed the Speed Force because he and his friends were trying to stop an evil version of Superman from basically killing everybody. They were on an alternate Earth at the time, that world's Flash had just gotten his butt kicked, and the rogue Superman got a head start flying to the main DC universe to kill more people. The Flashes briefly discussed their options before coming to the conclusion that their best bet in stopping him was for Bart to absorb the entire Speed Force. So he did. Beating Superman across the multiverse in no time, and then beating Superman across the Earth in no time. But this massive speed feat was not without its consequences. Jay Garrick confirmed that the Speed Force was now gone for everybody in that universe. Bart was the only speedster who could still tap into all that power. And while it definitely gave him a major boost, it also threatened to kill him until that power was transferred back to its appropriate dimension. It's a real shame, because a lot of people just assume the fastest Flash is either Barry or Wally, but there was a time at which Bart was not only the fastest man alive, but the fastest man who ever was alive. Then there's Barry. He absorbed the entire Speed Force because he had recently found out his archenemy, the Reverse Flash, was responsible for the traumatic death of his mother while he was still young. He was kind of emotional about that, so he traveled back to the day his mother was killed and channeled the entire Speed Force into stopping the Reverse Flash. The overwhelming energy was so devastating that it actually shattered the timeline and altered everything in the universe. I think it's fair to say Bart did a better job at handling it. I mean, sure, he nearly killed himself, but Barry kind of nearly killed the universe. In fact, he had to go back in time again to stop himself from making that mistake, and that's where this comparison gets even more confusing. While Barry was traveling back in time to stop himself from traveling back in time, Bart, back in his Kid Flash form, was stranded in an alternate future caused by Barry breaking reality. According to the events of Flashpoint, Kid Flash Lost, he felt the Speed Force calling him to several different points in the timeline. And each time he traveled to one of those points, he would find another speedster and absorb their energy. Remember that the Speed Force exists above time and space. Meaning, even when someone says they've absorbed the entire Speed Force, what they really mean is they've absorbed the entire Speed Force available to their universe and time. Otherwise, every speedster all throughout history and the multiverse would be depowered. So when Bart was absorbing tons of Speed Force from different time periods, he very well might have been channeling more Speed Force than anybody ever had. Using this tremendous power, he eventually caught up to Barry Allen in the time stream, the one that was racing to stop himself from breaking reality, and gave him all of his Speed Force, propelling Barry further and faster than he had ever gone before. Bart became a White Flash, the living embodiment of the energy of the Speed Force, and Barry used all that energy to restore the universe, but also tie its timeline together with two parallel universes and possibly create a reality warping event that happened on multiple levels of the multiverse. Did you follow all that? Good, because what I'm really trying to say is, that DC company-wide New 52 reboot, Barry Allen did that by going fast. But technically he never would have gotten that fast if Bart Allen didn't absorb the Speed Force from several different points in time. So who's the fastest Flash? Who knows? Wally West runs the fastest most consistently, Barry Allen has gone the fastest, and Bart Allen has gone the fastest without assistance. Technically speaking, every Flash should be capable of virtually the same feats given the right circumstances since their powers all come from the same place, but if you really want a definitive answer, I would go with Sela Allen. She's a Flash from the 23rd century who was seriously injured by a supervillain and placed in the Speed Force to recover. Somehow this caused her consciousness to become one with the Speed Force, and she interacts with people in the physical world as a living projection of Speed Force energy. We never see her do anything particularly impressive since she's only in one story, but considering what the Speed Force is and the fact her consciousness is linked with it, this should mean that she can be literally anywhere in the multiverse at any time she wants, or everywhere in the multiverse at every time she wants. You can't have a better connection with the Speed Force than literally being the Speed Force. She has the potential to be omnipresent. So for the sake of not having to explain this complicated mess every time somebody asks you who is truly the fastest man alive, I recommend just responding with, technically, she's a woman. Hey everybody, Tyler again, and thanks for watching my latest video. I really enjoyed working on this one, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. So last time I released a Flash video, I got a lot of questions about how fast the Flash could fight, so just to make it clear, he fights just as fast as he runs. I mean, come on guys, he's the Flash, it's not like the Speed Force only affects his legs. The Flash is always a great character to do research on. My favorite one is Wally West, so let me know in the comments below which one you like the best. And while you're commenting below, why not be a pal and super speed smash that subscribe button? I'm working on a schedule of one video every 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll get it shorter. Take some time to check out my Facebook and Twitter pages if you really like my stuff. I promise I'll be doing more regular material on it very soon. But again, above everything else, thank you for watching this far. 200,000 subs!
I love what you've done with the place.
This is all your fault! Everybody